this fall you will have opportunities to learn, grow, and think differently. And again, just verse 9 in Psalm 36, he says, in your light we see light. That's a profound statement. It's like the revelations of God, his wisdom, actually clarifies truth and clarifies our perception of the world around us. You know, can we reason our way into revelation, or does revelation need to happen before we see it clearly? And that's a deep philosophic conversation that I'm not trying to get into, but the scripture says, it's in your light we see light. It's in God's truth that we see things clearly. And Proverbs 10, verse 14, I love this statement. It takes a little bit of nuance, but he says, the wise store up knowledge. In other words, the wise are listening and collecting. But he says, the mouth of a fool invites ruin. It's like the fool is leaking disaster out of his mouth. His mouth is constantly opened, and he's just leaking folly and bringing disaster on himself. I just love that contrast between the fool and the wise. It's like the fool is leaking folly, but the wise are gathering wisdom. And again, learning is essential to growing closer to God and growing in life. Learning is a simple, secret habit to the way God's ordered things and how to kind of enjoy the world that he's given us. I mean, think about it. If you worked for an employer and you're in a difficult market, let's say, and you had the choice of working for two employers. One employer in a difficult market has about 3 tools in their tool bag to reach into and say, well, we could do this to solve that problem. And the other employer has 12 tools in their tool bag to say, well, we could do this to solve that problem. Which one would you rather work for? The one with 12 tools in their tool bag, right? Because education is inoculation against disruption. It's like knowing more makes you anti-fragile. Knowing more enables you with solutions and knowledge and skill sets. It's like the same thing in marriage. It's like in your marriage, if your family or your marriage keeps running into the same kind of dysfunctions, it's an opportunity to say, well, maybe we need to learn something new. Because maybe, growing up, in those moments of marital conflict, maybe the only tools that were ever given to you by your parents or by your experiences was a buzzsaw. Like if that's the only tool you have in marriage, a buzzsaw, it's not going to go well for you. You need a couple more tools to nuance how to work through these tricky situations. So we need to learn something new. We maybe need to seek a counselor or go to a marriage retreat or do something different to increase in wisdom. So God's always inviting his people to grow their minds and thirst for knowledge, expand our appetites for understanding the good world that he's made. Your brain is literally hardwired for discovery. Neurochemically, your brain rewards you for finding new things. And it's like, I know that it's, we often kind of are derogatory towards the abscesses of social media, and social media rewards you for seeing the weird and the out of the ordinary, but that's exploiting your brain's desire to learn, your brain's desire to go whoa, I didn't know that. And neurochemically, it's giving you a lollipop every time you see that new thing or that crazy thing. I just think that, again, I know we often warn against the abscesses of social media, but I also just want to say, the positive. I mean, it's just awesome to live in a day and age when I can go on YouTube and watch the most interesting people talk about the most interesting topics. There's just a wealth of information and dialogue, and there's a wealth of knowledge at our fingertips that we can use for God's good and for God's purposes. And so this fall is an opportunity to realize all of the things that I don't know and realize all of the areas that I want to grow in. I want to learn more about that. Maybe all the hobbies that I haven't done, or all of the languages I don't speak, that I don't have to continue to live in the dingy hovels of ignorance and boredom. but I can grow and my world can expand. And that's the way God designed us, to be foragers for wisdom and for knowledge. So much of the learning process is just kind of exposing ourselves to new things, new thinking, new information, and new environments. And I realize that's not all book knowledge. That's not all informational. A mom this week asked her first grader, "So what did you learn in school today?" And she said the deep furrow got into his brow, and he said, "Nothing. My teacher teached and teached and teached so much that I didn't have a chance to learn anything." Sometimes it can feel that way. Like sometimes, you just gotta get out and experiment with the world and have experiences with the world. But growth doesn't happen by accident. I've never seen dinner assemble itself on the table. Like order and growth doesn't happen by accident. Your kids' homework doesn't get done by accident. Weeds grow by accident, which effectively means my entire backyard is a growing accident. Like weeds happen by accident. Everything else happens with intentionality.